Hi there, this is Danny Flexen and welcome to SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're normally here every Monday at 4:30 p.m, albeit a little bit later this week, and we usually discuss the boxing action that's just taken place at the weekend. But until this weekend's Kovalev Yard fight, which I'll be covering in ReFLEXions on Thursday, hasn't been loads of top level boxing action in August, it's fair to say. So I've been covering wider issues in the sport, and this week I want to talk a little bit about Kell Brook. Now, it was recently said by Brook's longtime rival Amir Khan that it's time for Brook to retire. Something which Brook came out, I shouldn't say Brook came out, that will cause a few headlines. Brook responded to later on saying he's not ready to retire just yet. Khan is obviously, his is a prejudiced opinion. They've a lot of back and forth between the two over the years. Khan also keen to distance himself from a fight with Brook, so he's got a reason to say these things, or more than one reason. But one of his points was that Brook's already started slurring his words, and he mentioned the successive serious eye socket injuries that Brook suffered in fights between him and Gennady Golovkin, and then later against Errol Spence Jr. One broken eye socket each side. So how seriously can we take these comments, regardless of the source? We can't forget that Brook's last fight against Michael Zarafa was 8 months ago now, or nearly 9 months ago, and he didn't look great. He looked very rusty, won a points decision in his first fight under new coach John Fuchs. Didn't look great and hasn't fought since. According to promoter Eddie Hearn, Brook is only really interested these days in marquee fights, and none of those have been forthcoming since the Zarafa fight. Even though Brook can seemingly still make £147 and is willing to fight up at super welter, there don't seem to be a lot of offers coming his way at the moment. He did look rusty against Zarafa, but we don't quite know how good Zarafa is. We might find that out later on. And also, as I mentioned, it was his first fight under a new trainer after a long period with Dominic Ingle. Now, the big news recently is that Brook is now back training with Ingle in their gym in Sheffield. So the Fuchs partnership was apparently short-lived. And Brook can, if anyone's going to bring him back to his best, you would assume it was the guy that knows him the best in Dominic Ingle. So if Brook does still have something, it's not just he's completely shot, maybe he can get back up there. But if, as Eddie Hearn kind of suggested, motivation is a serious factor, then Brook needs a big fight and fast to really get the juices flowing. So yeah, not on great form, but back with his old trainer. Eye socket injuries, that is a point that Khan made. We can look at that. It's always going to be a worry. You know, it's possible that after surgery, Brook's eye sockets may be stronger than ever, but psychologically at least it will always be an issue for him, I would think. Any sort of eye injuries are going to have him concerned. The flip side of that, I suppose, the worst has already happened. Maybe he's got nothing to lose. I think the big thing with Brook is, and I've said this in an article on SecondsOut.com, it's going to come down to legacy, or rather the lack of it. Now, Brook is a former world champion, former IBF welterweight champion, of course, but he's only fought 3 world-class opponents, and of those 3, 2 beat him in Spence and Golovkin. The only one he beat was Sean Porter, and that was a very close, scrappy fight. He's not got that career-defining win. His title reign was really underwhelming, fighting, Jojo Dan, Kevin Bezier, Frankie Gavin, before losing it to Spence, of course, in a fight that maybe he shouldn't have taken straight after going up to middleweight for Golovkin. He'd always struggled with 147, so to come back from middleweight for that fight seems a bit foolish, certainly in hindsight. But is it too late for him to forge a legacy now? He'll look at Khan, making money in Saudi Arabia, and he might scoff. But Khan was a unified world champion at super lightweight. He's had some decent wins at welterweight as well. If their careers were both to end now, Khan would almost certainly be regarded as having had the better professional tenure. Add that to his silver medal as a 17-year-old at the Olympics, and he's far ahead. And that will probably eat at Brook. He despises Khan and has done for a long time. He won't want to retire with Khan having the last laugh. If he can't fight him, if they're never going to fight and he can't beat him, as he said he's got the skills to do for so long, he'll at least want to have the better legacy. And right now that doesn't look likely. So I think that will be the key thing that stops Brook retiring. Whether he's got enough left to forge that legacy is another question. But I think he'll want at least one more fight just to see if he can surpass his greatest rival. Now, I'd like to know in the comments below what you guys think. Should Kell Brook retire? Has he got much left, especially now he's back with Dominic Ingle? And if they were both to retire now, Khan and Brook, who would have the better career? Who would you regard better? Let us know. We'll respond to some of the best ones. And I'll be back next week for ReFLEXions, Monday at 4:30, hopefully. And ReFLEXions, 4:30 Thursday, looking at Kovalev Yard. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon.